Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Paperboy podcast. We are very lucky today to have Lisa join us for episode 14 from Bumpin Blends, where she is founder and CEO. I know I look a little bit different to Kyle. He is the usual host of the podcast, but I'm a friend of Kyle's, and we figured it would be a cool one for me to jump in and do as a guest. I know Kyle from our Red Bull days more years ago than I care to remember. I apologize for my slight husky voice today. I have a child in daycare, so this is how it goes. Otherwise, feeling good, and I'm talking to a fellow mum who I think gets it. Welcome to the pod, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Very excited to have you here. I was just sharing a little bit before we jumped in on how amazing I selfishly think your product is. I made the cinnamon chai smoothie earlier today.
Oh, such a good one.
Such a good one. You have on the side, it's like cuddling by the fire, but in smoothie form. That is
It's
how it
not
feels.
exactly kind of like what it feels like. It like tastes like
Yeah.
fall, Christmas.
Yeah.
Like it's just so cozy.
Yeah. And it just got cool here in New York. So yeah, I was feeling this one today. We'll get into it later, but beautiful packaging, really innovative, clean label. And I love that you say what functionality you support. So that is very exciting. I'm super thrilled to be here with you today. And as someone who's been in CPG for a long time, this is very, very unique and very cool to see on the shelf and online as well. Anyway, that is enough about me and me fangirling about your product. Why don't I turn it over to you? Give us the quick pitch on what Bumpin Blends is, and then we're going to jump into your very juicy story from there.
Awesome. Yes, so Bumpin Blends, we are frozen functional smoothie cubes. Functional as in they support everything. Each flavor has something specific. Mood, energy, stress, focus, sleep, stress. I already said stress. Sex drive, you name it. I know, right? Moms, wow, we need stress twice. We have a smoothie to support it. So each flavor has a functionality to it. And all you have to do is shake up the cubes with milk or water for a perfect smoothie in seconds. There's no mess, no prep, no cleanup. And they are direct to consumer in those single serving trays or in retail stores as well.
Amazing. I think you've had some incredible traction on both sides of that coin over the last few years. Since 2019. So very excited to talk about both sides of that. If we take it back to 2019 in LA.
Yes.
Go back there in your mind.
I'll go back.
Yeah, tell us how it all began.
So I actually am a registered dietitian by trade. So I have a master's in nutrition and public health. I come from a background of really helping people one-on-one manage their nutrition, their wellness, reach their goals. And in doing that, personally, I used smoothies as a means to sort of hack my body before that whole biohacking thing was really a thing. And I would recommend smoothies to my clients. If I had a client who had gut health issues, I would say drink a smoothie with X, Y, and Z ingredients every day, and that should improve. If I had a friend who had trouble sleeping at night, I would say make a smoothie with tart cherries and bananas and spinach, and that will help you sleep at night. And so these smoothies sort of just became just a way of life in my household, and then what I would always recommend to people. And when I was pregnant, I found that making smoothies was so cumbersome. It made a huge mess, it took forever, never tasted quite right. You used so much waste, so many plastic bags of frozen fruit. There's that box of spinach you bought at the grocery store that's like wilting away, judging you in the back of your fridge because you haven't made a smoothie with it yet. And there was so much to it. I was like, I can't believe I'm recommending this to my clients. This is a pain in the ass, to put it simply. And if you don't have the knowledge of like a dietitian to know exactly what to put in your smoothie, there's the added factor of there are so many expensive supplements, powders, protein, greens. Like, what are you supposed to add to your smoothie to make it good for you and what you want? Yeah. And so the idea for Bumpin Blends was born, these perfect frozen cubes. And I was working for a scientific wellness startup at the time as a dietitian. And I sat down with my husband. I had this idea for a company. thought of the name while I was 8 months pregnant, and Bumpin blends.
Uh-huh.
And I essentially was like, I'll just take my maternity leave
Yeah.
and $18,000 of my savings. And if I have a business by the end of my 3-month maternity leave, then I'll quit my job. But if not, I'll just quit it and go back to work. And that's like the most hilarious thing I think I've ever said. Anyone who's been on a maternity leave knows that like casually starting a business
Yeah.
while you're on your maternity leave is not doable. But we actually, I mean, I did it. I kind of turned my garage. We emptied out the garage, cleared it out, and turned it into this like mad scientist smoothie lab of sorts. Filled it with freezers from Craigslist and blenders. And I called over a few neighborhood moms that I met on a Facebook group to come over and blend smoothies with me in my garage. And this
Amazing.
business idea I had. And then we kind of got a few customers in LA, mostly like in the neighborhood, word of mouth, and then a few more. And within 4 months, we were shipping nationwide, and being talked about by celebrities on Instagram and stuff. And then within that was 2019. So we started shipping nationwide in 2019, and then got bigger and bigger and moved to our own facility, like an actual built out owned facility, not in my garage. And then, a few years later, we're almost on Shark Tank, like we went into Costco, and now we're in a lot of stores, and it's just really grown from there, and we're still pretty much bootstrapped.
Wow. What
Yeah.
an amazing story. I mean, yes, as a new mum, starting a business in maternity leave is beyond incredible. So, on that level alone, congratulations. What an amazing way to start your journey. And I truly wish I had known about your product earlier this year. So, let's break down your journey because it sounds like a lot has happened over the
Yeah.
last 4 years. I mean, that's really
It's
far.
like five
Right?
years.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yes, that is a ton of traction. I know you're in over 3,000 stores already,
Mm-hmm.
with some incredible partnerships on, let's say, the Barbie front to
Yeah.
boot as well. And as you say, or bootstrap. So there's a lot in here that I would love to dig into. If we go back to those early days at the start when you were D2C, it was 2019, you're in LA, and then you said you were nationwide by May. What happened in those few months? I mean, that's some incredible scale in, the early days.
Yeah. I just think I was constantly being told that I was thinking too small.
Right.
Like I started this smoothie business, and my parents, even like my accountant, were like, this is like a little, you don't, uh, there's like you don't have to make it a Delaware LLC. You're
Right.
just doing some smoothies in your garage for other moms in the neighborhood. And I just think I was thinking very small, and then I was
Mhm.
constantly kind of hitting a wall of more people want this. There was just a demand for
Mm.
it. And so, for instance, when we first launched, I was really mostly just targeting pregnant women.
Yeah.
And that was like my main thing of like, these smoothies will help with all the different pregnancy symptoms. Because we had a smoothie for headache, for digestion, for, bloating and swelling, and exhaustion, mood swings. Like pregnancy was like kind of our main sort of marketing angle of like all the symptoms of pregnancy. And then we were having customers who loved the smoothies. And then their pregnancy was over, and they were like, oh, well, I have to cancel my subscription because I'm not pregnant anymore. I'm so sad. I'm going to miss my daily smoothie. And I'm like, well, they're fine for after. They're
Yeah.
great for postpartum. You have more symptoms than when you're pregnant. So then it would turn into like a smoothie for moms. And then we were getting customer service emails of like, my husband keeps drinking all my smoothies. Are they safe for him? And I'm like, okay, we need to like address this marketing
Mhm.
messaging, because we are creating smoothies for everyone. We are creating smoothies that anyone can enjoy, whether you're a 4-month-old baby or, a teenager or a man or a woman or pregnant or not pregnant. These smoothies are made with extremely clean ingredients. Like that is at the ethos of what we do, is like, these are dietitian first smoothies. They're made with the highest quality, cleanest ingredients that we can put into something. So they really, truly are safe and wonderful for everyone. And that is what we wanted to emphasize. So we had to constantly be like shifting our marketing messaging to expand our target audience because there was so much demand for it. And there was some confusion over like safety when we would target specific groups of people. And it's kind of sad because, you know, there are so many products on the market right now that are just like very questionable ingredients and they're marketed as a health product, but would you feed it to a 6-month-old baby? You know, like, and so we wanted to make sure we were really emphasizing like the clean ingredients. We are for everyone. And in terms of like geographical reach, I mean, in terms of how I operate, scrappiness is like my number one thing of like, if we could figure out some way to do this and make it scrappy, make it like free, but make it quality, we're going to figure out how to do that. And so shipping nationwide frozen, when people hear that we were able to, within 4 months of launching, be shipping nationwide frozen and stay in the black, only spending what we make, people never believe it, but it started at that like smaller volume, smaller scale, by finding kind of crafty, scrappy ways to ship very cheap. And we were able to do that and make it happen. So we were able to meet the demand. And then once we were able to reach more people in that way, that opened up doors to work with bigger celebrities, bigger influencers. It opened up the doors for more and more word of mouth. So that now, even to this day, our biggest driver for acquiring customers is just organic word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you tried our cinnamon chai smoothie. It's I don't know, I sound obnoxious. It's very, very good.
Very good.
It's like surprisingly delicious. I
Yeah.
think people, when they see the ingredient list, they're like, chickpeas in a smoothie? Like, this is gonna taste like earthy and bad, and it's gonna taste really healthy. And then you taste it and you're like, oh, this is actually, there's a like a niche for it in the sense of like usually healthy products either taste terrible,
Yeah.
super healthy,
Yeah.
or they taste kind of hyper palatable, stevia, heavy monk fruit, very metallic sweet.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
too much and kind of
Yeah.
gives you a headache. There is nothing that
No.
is in that in between, and we made it. And
Is it
so people
straight
talk about it.
Yes, I would believe that. I walked straight into the bedroom. I gave it to my husband, and he honestly chugged half of it. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa!
It's
Don't
they
drink all
do
my.
that. My
I'm
husband does the
curious.
same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's very smart to open up your target audience early on and to
Yeah.
realize that this is actually for everybody. Um, I'm curious, who were some of those early people that jumped on and started to share and help you really grow your awareness?
Yeah, so Miranda Kerr was one of our first customers.
Wow.
She had seen us at this little pop-up at a store, at a like a clothing store in LA. And we were just doing a little like it's a maternity clothing store in LA. And we were like, oh, maternity clothes, we're targeting pregnant women. Let's,
Yep.
do we had little literally Dixie cups of our smoothie at the register for people to taste.
Yep.
And she came into the store and she tasted one and was like, oh my gosh. And she brought her assistant over to me and she was like, can you order this? I want it every day. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're delivering to Miranda Kerr weekly. Her 7 smoothies delivered to her door once a week. And then she was hosting like a party of her friends and stuff, and she wanted the smoothies to be at the party. And then we went there and we did the smoothies for the party.
Yeah.
And then we're delivering to her all. So and then she had shared us on Instagram, and then Chrissy Teigen has shared her experience drinking our smoothies. Amanda Klutz, all the Bachelor girls. It went out, circulated all the Bachelor Nation people. Jenna Dewan, like a lot of big names have just sort of like gotten our smoothies in their hands. I say that like it was an accident. I worked very hard to
Yes.
scrappily get our smoothies in the hands of the right people, but never in a like sponsored, endorsed sort of way. In that my job is to get them to be exposed to it, but then often when someone tastes it, they're surprised by it that they want to authentically share their experience. And we've been really fortunate to have generous celebrities do that for
Yeah.
us.
And I think it comes down to having a very good product. People will share things.
It really does.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really, really does come down to having a quality product.
yeah, I think so. Okay, so Then you started to open up the retail landscape. I know the first place you were in was Costco. So I'm
Yeah,
curious how that happened.
that was very strategic.
Mhm.
So the royal we, I am still the sole person at the company. I'm the only employee. And so I sort of, when all these sort of privacy meta ads, all these changes started happening in like late 2021, and you started to see retail stores becoming a like cool again, almost. Like Erewhon started being like a big talked about thing. Pop-up grocery, those sorts. It just started to become a thing. Retail CPG was really sort of picking up steam in a very cool, trending way. And you also could kind of see that D2C was starting to have a lot of issues that often were out of control, like out of the control of the founders. And so I thought it would be a really good time to protect us and say, okay, we need to be omnichannel here, because if we're just relying on D2C shipping frozen, if the economy is affected, people aren't going to be ordering premium products delivered to their door frozen anymore. I think premium smoothies delivered to your door are kind of one of the first things to go if you're trying to cut
Yeah.
costs. And so getting into retail shelves became sort of my focus. And the first step in retail, well, one was, researching other brands that have transitioned from D2C to retail. And I learned so many horror stories and so many, brands I had seen try to do it, not do it correctly, fail. And so I just spent literally a year just deep researching it in 2021 and really digging into how to do retail right, how to do it wrong, what are the pitfalls, what is even just the vocabulary of being in retail stores is entirely different of D2C. It's a different tech stack, it's a different logistics, supply chain, shipping, everything is totally different. So it is like starting a second business. And in doing that, I wanted to make sure we were careful, slow, and did it in a way where we would not have to raise capital or take on debt to do it.
Mm.
And that was my goal, was to remain profitable, because we started with that 18,000 of my savings, and that's it. We never got investors, we never took loans, we never had any debt, and we only spent what we made.
Yeah.
So if we only did 40K in revenue that month, we only spent 40K max.
Yeah.
And so that forced us to operate in a way that was very sustainable, extremely conservative. And so in doing retail, I wanted to make sure we were able to at least test the waters of retail without sacrificing that.
Mm.
And so I had multiple line reviews with natural retailers, all the cool ones, and actually had gotten business at a few of them and turned them down because it didn't make sense financially for me. I was like, so you want me to pay slotting fees, free fills, promo fees? You want 40% or 45% of the MSRP, and I need to use this distributor that then takes another 12% or more. And the volume of those stores is actually quite small in the grand scheme of things. You're getting, that premium look, that branded, we're in Erewhon, we're in Bristol Farms, Gelson's, Whole Foods, what have you. But in terms of actual cash that your business is bringing in versus spending, it's very risky for a small business to be in those stores, especially in the frozen section. And so even though we had won business awards with them, I actually had turned them down and determined that Costco was where we wanted to launch first. Strategically, mainly because Costco will work with small businesses on a 1PO basis, where they never really want to be more than 20% of your revenue for the year. They don't want to drive you out of business. They don't want to become your entire business. So we worked with them and determined that we would place 1PO for 1 quarter rotation with them. And it would be 35,000 units, and we'll try to sell out in 3 months. And at the end of the 3 months, that's that. We're done. And Costco pays you net 30 days from receipt of goods. And I don't have to work with a distributor. I could work collect or ship directly to them. And it was so clear and straightforward. There were no hidden fees or costs. I got paid quickly, and I didn't have to be locked into a year-long contract with them where if something was going wrong or we weren't profitable, I was stuck. So Costco was important to me to launch with. And meanwhile, while I was in the process of that Costco deal, I was also in the Target Accelerator program, and that's like an amazing, amazing, intimate crash course in doing retail right and like learning from the Target team and executives. So it was 2023 was fantastic for us in terms of like building the supply chain and the logistics and everything for being in big retail while also working one-on-one with Target to really make me super knowledgeable about the space. And continuing to do line reviews to set us up for success to launch into retail stores in a more permanent way in 2024. So that was like my goal of 2023, test in Costco, do the accelerator program, build the relationships, do line reviews. And then that way I could go into 2024 saying like, we're not only going to do retail, we're going to do it right.
Yes.
And that's what we did.
I mean, that is so impressive and very smart, I have to say, because retail is a very tricky landscape. Everybody does it differently, every retailer. And so to cut your teeth with something that you felt really comfortable with, I think is really smart. So bring us up to speed on this year. I know you're in a number of other stores. So tell us how that's been going.
Yeah. So Costco 2023, our goal was to sell out in about 3.5 months. We sold out in 2 months. And then in 2024, I secured contracts with Walmart, Target, and Sprouts to have 4 flavors launch in 3,200 stores nationwide. So we are currently in all 50 states, including Alaska and Hawaii. We're in 3,200 stores with 4 flavors. And initially, it's sort of like this has just grown. It's similar to when we first launched. The demand was there. The demand was clear and it was loud. And it was same with this, where when we first got Target and Walmart and Sprouts to say yes and to want us, I was, they said, how many stores, where are your best customers? Can we see like a map of where your D2C customers are? How many stores do you think you could handle, et cetera, et cetera. And I had sort of had it in my head that we would be in 1,000 stores by the end of 2024. And I was like hoping to have 2 flavors in 1,000 stores. That was my goal for the year. So now we have 4 flavors in 3,200 because it was like, Target would say like, okay, I know you said 500 stores, but what if we did 1,500? And, the buyers all loved it so much. Can we add 300 more stores? Or so those sorts of things have just been happening throughout the whole year that have gotten us to this point now of being in 3,200 stores nationwide. And then the Barbie licensing deal also is part of the strategy as well.
Yeah. It's been on my list to ask you about, and I'm desperate to hear the story.
This is one of our retail bags, if anyone doesn't know about the barbershop. So I am from doing the research on D2C brands, going from D2C to retail, I really could see that one of the pitfalls is that if you're a smaller D2C brand with a niche community, or maybe you're just not huge, you're not everywhere, everyone hasn't heard of you, it's hard to move product in retail because, it might be easier for someone to trial your product for the first time in retail because they're paying, $7.99 instead of paying for like a $200 subscription bundle. But there is a barrier. Like there's actually in frozen a physical barrier. They have to open a door to get to your product. And if you're something that they've never seen before, or you're a brand or a logo they've never heard of, maybe they don't know what smoothie cubes are, there is a barrier there. And there needs to be, you need to sell the person on your product with just like 0.1 seconds of the front of your packaging. Yeah. And they need to understand what it is, why they need it, and why they should pay for it in that second that they glance at it when they're looking for frozen blueberries. And that is hard to do in of itself. And so I spent a lot of time on our packaging, and Costco was great because we could do the Costco deal, survey customers, we talked to hundreds of customers at Costco about what they liked about our packaging, I saw you just walked by that frozen door and you kind of looked for a second, but then didn't grab anything. What were you looking at? Why? Oh, the smoothie cubes. Okay. In learning about why they maybe passed it and didn't buy it. And then we took all that research and we applied it to these bags so that they're able to be hopefully higher converting bags. But a big part of this that I was wrestling with in like December last year, January this year was like, how do I build that trust? Like, how do I somehow convey to this stranger that they want to try this and we promise they're going to like it? And I don't know how to, like, I was having trouble, like, how do I build that trust? How do I like get that endorsement when they're walking through the store? And I had no idea. I was wrestling with this. And then I was on my way to, it was like top of my mind, top of my planner of like, how do I do this? Brainstorm it, because we were doing the packaging. And it was like February of this year. I'm still brainstorming this. I had to fly to Bentonville, Arkansas for a meeting with Walmart. And I was at the gate for the flight, and then everyone's at the gate. The flight's supposed to take off in like 20 minutes. And then they announce a 3-hour delay. And I'm like, okay, great, I'll be productive. And then I'm like, okay, everyone starts pulling out laptops. And like the flight from LAX to Bentonville is such a fantastic networking opportunity for CPG brands, because every single person going to Bentonville, Arkansas from Los Angeles, California is going for a meeting with Walmart. Walmart loves to meet with people in person. They love for people to come to Bentonville. I've been to Bentonville like 2 or 3 times in the past year. Like, they really drive people to Bentonville. And so that flight is a great networking opportunity. And I was like, you know, I'm not going to pull out my laptop like everyone else here. I'm going to see like what I'm imagining, like I'll meet a cool brand that we can do an Instagram giveaway together or something. Like, I'm thinking I'll meet someone. And so I'm kind of just like, you know, eavesdropping over here. Oh, eavesdropping over here. Okay, I'm just gonna take my bag and I'll go to the bathroom, come back, maybe I'll sit somewhere different, eavesdrop. Okay. And so I'm listening. I'm like, okay. And then I hear like the Hot Wheels girls. I'm like, oh yeah, the whole team from Hot Wheels is here. And next to them are the Barbie team. And so this is like a big group of people from Mattel. And I was like, Barbie. Okay. Wait, they do a lot of brand partnerships with Barbie, especially lately. And I had just seen like Swoon or Smart Sweets, or someone was doing something Barbie. And I was like, that's interesting. I wonder.
The little light bulb.
Like, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, that's how we can build the trust.
Oh, yeah.
Because we can have that endorsement on one of our flavors, and all of a sudden we are a reputable, trusted brand in retail.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this could be it. So I sit down next to the Barbie girls, and one of them, I'm like, okay, what are they talking about? One of them's talking about having trouble sleep training her son, or like just sleeping. Her son is having trouble sleeping through the night and going to bed by himself. I know that game. Okay. So I sit down, I start talking, you know, oh my gosh, my son is the same age, has the same problems. Our sons are like about the same age, similar sleep struggles. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, you know, and I'm actually just enjoying talking to her about like motherhood stuff.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, what do you do for Mattel? I was like, oh, I'm actually not with Mattel. I'm with a smoothie cube brand called Bumpin. We make frozen smoothie cubes designed to support different areas of health. And she's like, oh, wow, very cool. And I'm like, oh, yeah, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I'm the VP of brand partnerships for Mattel, or for Barbie, for Mattel. And I'm like, oh, of all the gin joints, wow. And so I kind of made like a funny, I was like, well, if you're ever looking for smoothie cubes, we've got a hot pink flavor with your name on it. Because we were literally launching a strawberry hot pink flavor in these stores. And she was like, oh my gosh, would you want to partner with Barbie on that? I was like,
yes.
Does anyone say no to that? Would you want to?
Manifested this whole, this is incredible.
So the conversation, it went something like that. And she gave me her business card. I shot her a quick email when we were boarding the plane. I sat in my seat back in coach. I saw her go to the front. And I shoot her a quick email. So great to meet you, whatever. And literally by the time the plane landed, I already had like a meeting set up with a bunch of people for like later that day.
Wow.
And by the time I was flying back to LA, we already had a prototype product ready to go. So essentially I was able to really just like say yes to a lot of people and then just like hustle to make it happen with my team of like, can we develop this
Yeah.
like sort of Malibu Barbie? It tastes like a Miami Vice. It's like
Mhm.
strawberry, raspberry, coconut. Like it tastes very beachy and fun. And like, can we develop? And so I developed this flavor. We developed the packaging, all the marketing, messaging, everything like that. And that was in like February, and we launched in June. So anyone in like CPG and retail, especially who's worked with like Mattel or like brands like that where there's a lot of red tape and a lot of approvals needed, to do that quickly was wild.
I mean, even in a year, that's awesome. You know, you business plan the summer just gone. We're planning for our partnerships end of next year. So
Yeah,
yeah, to whip that rabbit or Barbie out of a hat in a few months is
it was wild.
very cool and meant
Wild.
to be. Yeah, wow,
Yeah,
that's impressive. Yeah.
thank you.
How
Yeah, it
has it
was fun.
how has it been selling?
It's been doing great. It's our bestseller.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
it's our bestseller in Walmart.
Yeah,
And in Target, I'm still waiting for initial numbers. We just launched in Target last week, or actually this week. So this is our first week in Target, so it can take some time to get numbers. And then in Sprouts, actually our watermelon flavor is our bestseller, which was
mm,
another new one that we developed specifically for retail.
yeah. It's smart to have
Hmm.
exclusives for
Yes,
channels.
exactly.
One question I really do want to ask you. We've talked a lot about the product, but not actually how you produce it, how you make it. So
Yeah.
from formulation through to it getting on your website or on shelves, what does that process look like? Where are you making the product today?
So it depends on if it's direct to consumer or retail. Our direct to consumer facility is still that one that we built out in 2020. And what's so cool is like our team here in LA at that facility makes all of the direct to consumer blends and fulfills them all and manages the supply chain.
Mm,
They're all in-house people and literally are run by the like my director of operations there is the original mom that I found on the Facebook group to come to
really?
my garage.
Wow.
And she is now like runs our operations in that facility. And so they are fantastic and they run our direct to consumer production. And that allows us to have a lot of flexibility when it comes to flavor development, limited time drops. Like we can have a customer DM us on Instagram of like, oh, you should do a pomegranate orange flavor. And if they're a really good customer of us and they got a loud voice and they want a pomegranate orange, like we could turn that around in a week or two.
Wow.
And that sort of facility allows us the ability to do that.
Mm,
And in terms of the recipes, we have 30 flavors online. So 30 flavors are manufactured in that facility. They rotate seasonally. We have limited time drops, celebrity partnership flavors, those sorts of things. All of those were developed by me. And actually, a few of the newer flavors have been developed by that director of operations in that facility. And sometimes the women who work there will be like, we got a really good idea. Can you taste this? And then we'll do something fun with it.
yeah.
But the original recipes were developed by me. And then for our retail manufacturing, we wanted to work with a really like big dog, reputable facility that works with a lot of big names that has been in this game before and can kind of hold us through that process. Like my belief is there should only be one underdog in the room, and I am that underdog for now. Like I want to work with people who know what they're doing. I don't want to take a
Mhm.
chance on some new facility that wants to grow their business with us. No. I want the people that do the big brands
Yeah.
because one, they've probably been used and abused by those big brands and they want to work with someone who will actually appreciate them. Two, as a small brand, often you're a small fish in a big pond, and then you feel like you're not getting you're not getting seen as a brand because you can't pay as much or you don't have as much volume. But when you are that smaller brand, you can work with these people in ways that they've always wanted to work with someone.
Mm,
And that's been my experience of like often they want to be more involved. They want to like have someone who's boots on the ground who will develop recipes with that and stuff. So essentially what we did was we took the recipes that I had developed and then I worked with them to sort of make them perfect for that kind of scale.
Yeah.
And then they make the product there, and then I order the bags and have it all delivered there, and it's all made and comes out of that facility, goes to another facility, and then goes to another facility, and then goes. So it's like having two separate businesses.
Yes. But it is very cool because you get to test and learn on the D2C side, get your proof of concept, try what works,
Exactly.
what's hitting, what's landing, and then you can feel really good about it when you obviously move it over to retail.
Exactly. And that's like always been the goal, is like D2C is meant to be
Yeah.
fun. It's similar for our customers. You
Yeah.
buy from us D2C, you're getting a fun experience. You're getting a service and a product. You're getting a community with it, and you're getting like a voice in that community.
Yeah.
And that is what we really want to be always conveying in direct to consumer, because they are paying more for the product.
Yeah.
And so with that, they should be getting more. And we're able to do that D2C, which is so fun. Like we just did a survey of like our 300 best customers all time. Like anyone who spent over $5,000 with us got a survey. And literally every single response, I think there was like 65 responses or something. Every single person said they wanted this one flavor to come back. We had a limited time flavor with Amanda Klutz, a celebrity, a couple years ago. And every single person said, please bring it back. Please bring it back. I want it. And like, thanks to the fact that our facility is right under our nose and we run it, I'm bringing it back. Like, I can just do that. And it's very cheap for us, and it's easy, and I don't have to like, I don't know, do a bunch of stuff with a bunch of people and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring back a flavor.
And you get to give your consumers what they want.
What
At
they
the end of the
want.
day.
And
That's
you
what
can
matters.
only get that flavor when you're a subscriber.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
a really cool, to prevent churn, to keep people excited. Like you want to keep those subscribers with you, right? Because they're
Yeah.
incredibly valuable. So
Yeah.
how many subscribers do you have today, if you're cool sharing that?
If I knew, I would tell you. I don't know that number off the top of my head.
I'm sure it's many. So as we start to think about, where you're at today, incredible story, incredible endorsements over the last 5 years, amazing scale because of demand, which, I think always tells you when a product is really good. What are you excited about for the next few years? If we're sat here 3 years from now, what do you really hope that we'd be talking about?
That's a good question. I hope that the next 5 years go in the same way that this year went, where in the beginning of the year I say, okay, my goal for December is 1,000 stores, 2
Yeah.
flavors. And then by December, we're in 3,200 stores with 4 flavors. That would be great.
Yeah.
But we are really laying the groundwork for, we're already kind of laying the groundwork for 2026. But I think my vision for the brand, I'm not wanting to run this brand forever. So I'm very much getting it set to be a brand that can really sustain itself and that can sell and can be a very sellable brand. And so my goal in the next few years is to grow our retail presence significantly, while also sort of working with the D2C side to grow the D2C side, grow the retail side, so they kind of work very complementary to each other. And people who find us in retail, which has already happened so much, of someone found us in Costco or they found us in Walmart and then they subscribed online because they fell in love with the product and they wanted that other flavor they saw. So I want them to work very, I hate this word, synergistically. I want them to work like I sound like that.
Yes.
Synergistically. I want them to work synergistically. But growth in retail is huge for us. Expanding retail with new flavors. We have 5 new flavors in development for retail right now. New flavors in retail, more retail stores, more retail chains, bigger in D2C, and more fun partnerships in D2C that we have lined up that are really exciting. And then actually in the next couple of years, expanding our product line outside of the frozen section. So we have a few prototypes of products that have already been developed and have already been tested by our consumers and unanimously adored. That I am waiting for more of a strategic moment to launch in a bigger way, of bringing us into the shelf-stable category as well.
That's very exciting.
Yes,
Then you
I'm
can
excited
dominate
about that.
more areas of the store.
Exactly. There's only so many flavors of smoothie cubes that you can put into so many stores, and so for us being able to expand to other categories is important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have a beautiful product. Not only
Thank
does it taste,
you.
it looks good. Obviously, you have the retail version
Yes.
there, but yes, there you go. I'm excited to see how things develop for you. I have not seen anything else out there like your product yet.
Thank you.
Hopefully, it stays that way. But best of luck to you, and to Bumpin Blends. I think it's really cool what you're building over there. I'll be
Thank you
watching.
so much. Thank you so much, Carly. Thank you so much for interviewing me.
Thank you for joining the pod today.